I'm going to call this meeting to order. Roll call.
McKnight,
Here.
Myers, here. Roja,
Here.
Vogel, here. Kinder.
Here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It looks like we've got a couple of public comment. We'll start with Bill.
That would be none.
Huh?
It would be under none. It would be item 10 then, kind of thing, right?
Senior.
It's a non-agenda item.
Yeah, it just, oh, you have it under agenda and then you put it under non-agenda?
I
but
just put- yeah.
That's okay, okay. We'll go at the end of the meeting then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Danielle Bell? Daniel?
Yeah. Do I just come up or?
Yeah, right in front of
Alright, I
there.
wasn't sure. Alright. So I'm here to talk about like the rental inspection safety program. I think it's a good idea because myself and I think like a lot of other people, when they're looking for a place, they're very limited to their options because of maybe money or what's available to rent. So we kind of just get squeezed into a place and there's no like baseline or like, you know, every place is up to the same safety codes and stuff like that. I've rented from several different places and, you know, a lot of the landlords are just not being held accountable for their properties, the way they, that we live in them. For example, I live in a duplex upstairs and downstairs. I've got 6 kids that I share with my wife, and my neighbor upstairs has like 4 kids, and our front porch has a hole in it. And instead of fixing the hole, our landlord must have got like a letter or something from the post office saying that, you know, it wasn't safe for the mailman to deliver the mail because of the hole there. So instead of fixing the hole, they removed the mailboxes from the house and nailed them to the bottom railing of the steps, so that the mailman doesn't have to come up on the porch to deliver the mail. The problem with that is my kids are still at risk of playing on the porch, and now all my mail is getting drenched every time it rains because there's no protection covering it. It's just issues like this upon many other issues that me, myself, and other tenants in Meadville suffer because there isn't anything in place to hold these landlords accountable. And I just think this is a good idea to push it forward to hold them accountable for, you know, our places in Meadville.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Sandra Horn?
We used to live at 637 Baldwin Street. The new landlord took it over. He got us for property damage we did not do. How can it be property damage when the water came down into my bedroom, the other bedroom, and the living room? And the towels on the ceiling was coming down? It's not our fault. It was the people that used to live up there. We've been there for 16 years and we got kicked out because of it. That was wrong. And you can't live in it's a 2-bedroom apartment. You can't live in an apartment with 2 landlords. So we got out. But now we gotta pay. It's not right. But I support the program.
Thank you, Sandra. Jason Ramsey?
Thank you. I was just coming from the zoning and planning commissions. The two of them are a hard act to follow, though, so I just wanted to acknowledge their comments as awfully meaningful and moving. The reason I was here was just I wanted to hear more of the comment on the proposed zoning ordinance, and I wanted to express my appreciation for council to consider all the hard work that the zoning and planning commission has done over the last couple of years to really revitalize and revamp some of the things that we could be doing in the city with regards to more flexible zoning and allowing small businesses to grow and new ideas and new initiatives to come up and build a town that we really want to have. So I apologize for missing earlier meetings when there were other comments on that. I really wanted to come, and I was able to come today, so thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Rito, sorry. I said it looks like a no, but I was scared.
All the time. So I'm here for the rental.
Thank you.
As well. And these are a lot of the smaller problems. One of many, some of many, that I experienced here in Meadville, crossing the police station on Center Street. The landlord was good friends of mine since I was about 13 years old. We had water flowing like Niagara Falls through the ceiling that we just remodeled. We remodeled the whole entire place. My daughter calls me while I'm driving him, my landlord, who I work for, home from work. He's blind, so I'm on the phone with her. She's saying we got water flowing through the ceiling again. I tell him, he's like, what do you want me to do? Can't fix stupid. And I'm like, I want you to get mad. I am highly upset, to say the least. And it's not even my place. It's not my money. But I got water flowing in it. And on top of that, we had mold, toxigenic mold in our closet where there was previous one that we have had tested professionally. And my daughter was coughing and sneezing a lot, and it turns out it's from that mold. We had mice infestation coming through the hole under the sink, as you can see in the picture. Leaving messes inside the stove, on top of the stove, on top of the counters. I went through at least one crack every night until it was like, why bother? I'm just soaking money into this really problem. The other picture you see, where there's a mattress, that was the basement, full of old renter stuff, just piled in there. Hence lice infestation. The light fixture was actually, one of the light fixtures was actually the apartment building next to us, Quadplex, who was from the same landlord. A friend of mine lived in that one. They had water flowing through the fixture and bubbling up, like in the ceiling, in the paint. I called the fire department. They came over and inspected the place and said, this is unbelievable. We got live wires hanging in the ceiling, we got live wires hanging outside, and we got up in the attic, and there was charred walls, and he's like, well, there's obviously been a fire up here before, and he's like, oh, well, look, this is a great place to watch the sky. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, if you come over here, you can look right up through the roof of the house. There's no roof. So a big section of the roof is completely gone. So I am no longer there anymore. My friend is still there, and it's an ongoing issue. I wasn't fortunate enough to have a good landlord like Mr. Trucco, who I know very well over the years, and he takes good care of his places. So because I've done work with them, with my stepdad. So I think it's a very good idea for at least a majority of the landlords that don't take care of their places, because the situations like mine, my daughter could have been worse than sick from that mold. Not to mention the foundation was rotted out. So there's a long list of the problems that the fire department found. And then they asked me why I got them in trouble, and I said, I brought it to your attention several times, you want to fix it, so I decided I'm going to fix it. I invited them over to take a look at it, so thank you for your time, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Rito. Notice of executive session.
Your Honor, no executive sessions have been held since the last meeting.
Okay. Approval of minutes. Could I have a motion for the approval of minutes of August 3rd, 2022?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
McKnight?
Aye.
Myers? Aye. Rojas?
Aye.
Vogel?
Aye.
Kinder?
Aye. Communications, letter of resignation from Taylor.
Your Honor, council received a letter of resignation from Taylor Hinton for the Meadville Area Recreation Authority. This will leave one vacancy on the authority with a term to expire on December 31st of 2024.
Manager's report.
Thank you, Your Honor. So the first item, I just wanted to mention that the Super Soaker Spectacular event is this Saturday from 2 to 5 p.m. at Cora Clark Park. So the fire department will bring their fire trucks out and have folks be able to be sprayed with the fire hose and water gun fights and things like that up there. We will be asking folks to sign a waiver before they enter the area to be splashed. And also, we need a motion for the approval of the resignation of Ms. Hinton.
I'm not good.
So moved.
Second.
Before we go, I would just like to comment about, because I'm reading the bottom part, it's an issue that I think should be addressed about the time frame of meetings, like she wrote. And I know that there are a lot of people that are interested in attending, but the times don't allow that. And she made a good point that maybe we should look at setting a time when more people from the community can be here to be involved in the meetings, because we do have a lot more information and knowledge from those that work during the hours that we are. Because I experienced the same thing myself with a lot of meetings I'm working, so it would be nice if we could consider doing something so people that want to be involved can be.
In this particular case, I was on the interview committee and she was asked if she would be able to attend and indicated that she should be able to attend. But that aside, the members of the various boards, commissions, and authorities tend to set their own times after mutual agreement rather than having us set them. And that actually assures that more people will be able to serve.
So I think Taylor's letter that we got is the third, at least that I know of timing being an issue. I know at least one person who was interested in the market authority who would have been a really strong candidate who can't serve for a similar reason. And then recently, Jen McDonough had to step down from Planning Commission. She was a member of the Planning Commission, she was serving, and I don't think there was a recognition that times could change and be flexible, and that could be set by the committee. I recognize that maybe we want to have a staff presence and therefore we kind of keep it within the business day for the most part, at least that's my understanding.
So I can say with the Market Authority, they did discuss changing their hours, and it was found that it was be more difficult for the current members to meet in the evening due to family obligations than it was to keep their current time. And I know with the Planning Commission, it was also put out to them to see if there was an alternate time, and I'm not sure that there was enough consensus to change it. So they do set their own times for meeting. We have had them change. Beautification Committee was one that moved to later in the evening to better accommodate their members. So that is always an option.
So they're able to change. What are some of the issues with them change? Just that the majority can't change, or and I know we have a staff, right, at most of those meetings. Is that all of those meetings or most of those meetings?
Almost all of them, there is a staff presence.
And that is because you
a lot of times it's you, right? That takes minutes and they need to be a certain way.
Minutes, and then also we manage the finances for many of the boards and authorities, so.
Katie, is it, and I know that you have a, you know, you can't be all hours of the night, right? You can't be midnight, right? Katie can't be doing a million things at these meetings, but, and I was just thinking about, because I know we discussed, right, like, and I think we've discussed the changing of hours and just making it easier for people who want to volunteer to volunteer. Is it possible, and you said there has been times that people have been able to take the minutes, and then sometimes that has failed, right? And do you find that more than not?
So with minute taking, we're very obligated to the Sunshine Law.
Right.
And if they're not being done consistently and in a timely fashion, it proves problematic, because we do receive right to know requests for those minutes. I think too that at least half of our boards, authorities, and commissions do meet in the evening. So that's just something to be aware of as well. We'd also have to work on schedules wise. For instance, Market Authority meets the first and third Wednesday of the month. If they move to the evening, that wouldn't be possible because of council meetings. And then, so we might have to shuffle them to another day, and then shuffle whether we have an evening meeting already on the books for, like the Sewer Authority meets in the evenings. You know, we have Shade Tree Commission that meets in the evenings, beautification, so we have.
Well, and along with a million other, you know, right?
Correct.
Not just us, but what I was thinking is if it is an issue of like your timing, we do ask a lot of the kids. But do you think that maybe a class in taking minutes would help make them a little more flexible, or are you, like, what is your, I just want to make sure that we're giving you know what I mean, like everybody can, go ahead.
So I'll say it's really not too much of staff time we would prefer, because we do offer comp time and, you know, overtime to staff if they have to stay later. We can make those accommodations, if necessary. I think the hardest part is if you get a new board member, then every time you get a new board member, you're going to poll the committee to see, okay, well now what's a good time, right? So there's a possibility that you could be constantly changing hours. We could add an availability section to the application to see if that helps at all with, you know, people when they apply, they identify what hours may work best for them. We can do that.
I mean, people's situations change, right? Like, you might get a new job, you might have a job that's seasonal. It's hard to know sometimes. I think what we want to do is just like not limit the pool of people who can be part of boards, authorities, and commissions. I wonder if it's just a matter of like, can we send a memo to the chairs reminding them that it's within their purview, right, of the committee to set their times. And every time there's a new chair, it's part of like their kind of orientation, like this is within, so it's not necessarily with every new board member, but like with every new chair, they know that that's something that their board can do. Because I think that there might be, like, my experience is some board that I've sat in on or something, like, don't necessarily know if it's up to them or if it's, you know, if their time is set for them. So I think if we can just make that clear and just like see what that does at first, maybe it doesn't change anything, but like at least they know they can.
So I can say I've met with, since I've started, any new chair we've had that conversation. And they do know that there is some flexibility there. So other than that, I mean, we don't dictate, like I said, when they meet.
What happens if they want to meet at a time there is another like meeting or that, like, let's say that you couldn't be there?
Well, as far as meeting at the same time as somebody else, yeah. I mean, space is the issue there. Most of our authorities, boards, and commissions have 5 to 7 members, so, and plus allowing for public, we have one room. So that can be problematic. As far as minutes taking, both Brenna and I can do it, so if one's not available, hopefully the other one is. In the past, we've had members of the various boards take their minutes, but I will use, for example, I had to miss a meeting in March for the Market Authority, and it took them until June to get those minutes. So that's where that issue comes into play.
But if somebody did want to, and this is just for my clarification, if somebody did want to take their own minutes, you'd be able to like show them exactly what they need to do, and then they could meet at like the Market House or something, like they would be able to meet at their own building or whatever.
So, presumably, yes, it just depends. I know in the past, the Market Authority, every meeting, a different person took the minutes.
I see.
And they don't always have consistent attendance, so that again becomes.
Right, I mean, I would be terrible at taking minutes, so I do understand.
I don't see any harm in sending out a memo to chairs, just reinforcing the idea that they can set times. And if they want to take a poll of their current committees, they can certainly do that to see. We just need enough advance notice so we can advertise those.
I thought the idea you come up with about the availability would be also helpful.
Yeah, and that'll help in the. Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions? All right. And we did the motion, that was the discussion.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Roll call.
Roll call.
McKnight,
Aye.
Myers. Aye. Rohan.
Aye.
Vogel,
Aye.
Kinder.
Aye. Okay, so we did the Super Soaker presentation summer parks program.
So Mark McGinty is here. Perhaps reluctantly, I don't know. To just give an update, or a report out, I guess, on the summer parks program that was held at Heidi Cooper Park this year between Creating Landscapes and the YMCA. Program has ended for the summer, so Mark is gonna tell us how it went.
How's everybody doing this evening?
Well,
Good. Summer's over. Well, according to the parks program anyway. So we ran from June 20th to August 12th. Last Friday was our last day. It was fantastic. I told my girlfriend I'm probably gonna cry on TV, so I apologize if I start crying. This hits home. We started, a year ago, I think, with the walkathon, and we raised a lot of money, got some grants, had a good team. The YMCA did from 10 to 1, and Creating Landscapes, which I was a part of, did from 1 to 3:30. I think the Y had somewhere between 40 and 50 kids that signed up, and we had over 60. It was a lot of fun. The kids got to do things that they had never done before. On the last day, we went to Goodell Gardens. That was one of our 2 field trips that we took them. And we went up to Edinburgh. And they had a fantastic time. So this is a great program, and I hope that we continue this for next year and the years coming up, because we hit a lot of lives this summer. And I know if we extend to another park next year, which is our hope, I know that we'll extend to a lot more. So it was a lot of fun. Thank you, everybody. City, thank you so much for everything that you guys did for us. French Creek Conservancy came out, Mike Marley, Jan Hyatt, Creating Landscapes, the Y, Master Gardeners, the Forestry Department, everybody in the city. It was fantastic. We did a lot of good this year, had a lot of fun, and I actually got to do an interview with the mayor, so that was, I can take that off my bucket list. So I didn't know if you had any questions. I was supposed to ask if you had any questions. I composed myself, I'm good now. But yeah, it was a lot of good stuff. So, does anybody have any questions?
No, but I'd like to thank you. You know, you and I had talked from the beginning, or even before the beginning, and I'm really appreciative of what you're doing, and I'm glad to see that someone is looking out for the younger kids that have no one to introduce them to the, nature. and teaching them how to socialize and meeting different people. I think it's great, and I support you guys 100%.
Thank you, Larry. Means a lot. Appreciate it.
I have a question, not
Yes,
to put you on the
please.
spot, but, because I want to, I guess, kind of tap into why it was so important to you. Like, is there a story or something that you could share?
Well, as a kid, we had parks programs through, I think, probably 10 of them. Everybody had their own park that they would go to, or in my case, I went to 2 different parks. And you did all kind of activities, and my parents said, "Here, the door's locked at noon, or 10 o'clock. Don't come back until the lights are on." And the park was there. You had friends. You socialized. You played games. You created connections, and it was just a great place. I learned how to, play caroms. I don't know if anybody knows how to play caroms. I learned how to play caroms. These kids didn't know how to play caroms. We introduced a carom board to them. So they got to play, things like that. So it means a lot to me to actually have a place for these kids to go to. And Heidi Cooper means a lot to me. We've already got the revitalization going on, hopefully. And so, that was the best place to start for us. So Heidi Cooper was it, and hopefully next year we'll go to another location, and then hopefully the next year after that. And then there'll be 10 parks. And that'll be good.
That's awesome. Do you have thoughts on what the next one will be?
I do. Am I allowed to say?
I don't know.
Fifth Ward. Fifth Ward is hopefully our next one, and then who knows where we'll go from there. Shady Brook, maybe.
Sky's the limit.
Court Clark, Roach Park. Where else can we go?
Not Roach. Not Roach.
Not Roach.
Stay in the city.
Oh, that's right. Not Roach.
Just kidding. You can go out there, but just remember, we're helpful.
Shady Brook, Court Clark, yeah. So there's.
Some of the parks that we used to go to, Mark, they're not there anymore.
That's right. Yeah, Gator Park there's still a building up at Gator Park.
Yeah, there's the building, but they got rid of all the stuff.
Yeah.
So you just sit in the woods in there.
Well, that's why we fundraise, and that's why we do walkathons, and we get money for games, because we had all kind of games, and they played all that stuff. So.
Mark, does the kind of collaboration between the Y and creating landscapes, does that feel like that's a kind of sustainable model? Do you think that's how it'll happen
Yes,
next
lots
year?
of possibilities there. Lots of possibilities. Roseanne, I meant to mention, Roseanne wanted me to pass on the gratitude with the city and with everyone. She works with the YMCA from 10 to 1. She was the director there. A lot of collaborating. We transitioned. They did lunch from 10 to 1. They had lunch, and we had a nutritious snack. We did the 5210, and the kids were on board with everything we did. I just had a lot of fun.
Great.
Again, I want to thank you for everything you're doing in the community, right? You personally, and then this program, Mark. And I did get to go up. I got told about a lot of plants and got to help water some plants. So it was an awesome program. It made me reminisce quite a bit, but it brings us back to that whole thing of having a community, having a village help raise our babies, and helping the parents, right? Like have a safe place. There was lots of people there, lots of adults, right? They're playing basketball. It was a beautiful thing to see. All of the kids were happy. And well, I'm sure kids aren't always happy, but you know what I mean? They were making stuff, they were playing games, they were learning new games. I just am really grateful that we can have that program, right? And that you guys stepped in, because I know there were a couple times that people tried to jumpstart that program. They didn't quite work more than 1 year, but we're hoping that this does, because
I'm not going anywhere.
Because we need you, and we need the program here in town to create our community the way we would like to live and raise our kids. So thank you again, Mark.
Thank you.
We
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
everything you and your group has done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that. All right. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, council subcommittee reports. So I'll start. Housing, we have a landlord's meeting next Thursday at 6. It's going to be at the old city building, okay? A little bit larger of a venue. So if you want to come out to that. And we are moving forward with that. Community engagement?
Yeah, listen, our committee has accomplished the most of our priorities, I'll just say that. No, so the next thing on our, that was kind of on our radar in terms of council priorities that we'd set in the beginning of the year was participatory budgeting around American Rescue Plan Act funds, which kind of per our conversation at the last study session of council last week, seems to be the direction that we will go, which is great. So I think that our committee meets next week, the 24th. We have a subcommittee meeting where staff will bring back a kind of proposed structure for survey and or town hall that we'll discuss more. So that's at noon, open to the public. Okay. Larry, I apologize. Did you have anything to say?
I'm good.
Finance.
Thank you. Just working on ways to try to close the budget gap, coming up with some ideas to present to council for a policy decision.
Okay. Thanks, Jim. Gretchen, anything?
Nothing like to really report on.
Right on.
I'm just still working on stuff.
Right on. Old business. Comments to proposed zoning ordinance.
So, as council knows, I compiled the comments from staff and council members on the zoning ordinance, the proposed zoning ordinance. Those were handed out to council last week. I don't know if you have copies with you now, but Gary Johnson, the zoning and code administrator, and Peter Grella, our city planner, are here. They do have some clarifying questions that they would like to ask of council on some of council's comments. So that's one aspect of what to accomplish regarding the zoning ordinance tonight. The second is just to begin a very preliminary discussion on the issue of topography. I believe the staff consensus is that perhaps we should look at eliminating all topographies in relation to the zoning ordinance. So just a very preliminary discussion on that, nothing too into the weeds tonight. And the zoning ordinance discussion will require multiple discussions of council. So just for council and the public's awareness. So I will turn this over to Gary to begin.
Hello again. I've been out of town for the last couple of meetings, so I apologize.
Yeah.
So that's out of the way. So a couple of things that I wanted to point out. There are a couple of relatively major suggestions coming from staff and council comments we've gotten so far. The one is, as the manager pointed out, is essentially a recommendation to eliminate the building typologies and the street typologies. And you'll recall that the typologies are the ones, the parts of the ordinance that have the sketches of what buildings should look like. It has 12 different building typologies going from everything from single-family dwelling to a twin house to a single-story downtown building, et cetera, et cetera. It got into the weeds from what direction does the siding go, what type of siding can you have, does the roof have to be pitched, and things like that. And from a staff and some members of council, it feels like that goes too far with some of the things that it would have required. It got a little bit confusing, and it frankly got a little contradictory in different places because it was included both in an appendix and in the ordinance itself. So one of the recommendations is to essentially eliminate those, but retain a lot of the site placement characteristics as far as trying to keep that, and I don't want to speak for Peter, but to try to keep that feel of a building. So placing a building on a site, we would suggest that be retained in large part, but as far as what the building looks like, what type of materials, we're talking about kind of getting rid of that, as well as the street typologies, and you'll recall that those typologies kind of classified a street by use and by volume, essentially. So Park Avenue was treated differently downtown than it would be treated up on the hill because it's different types of uses about that. We had that all through town, and that frankly got a little confusing. Speaking as the guy who would enforce that, administer that, looking at that with some clarification, help for Peter, it really looked like that could get really contradictory. There are also some language in there that said encourage or should, which from a policy code dork like I am, doesn't really mean anything when it's suggestive like that. It really needs to be mandatory for it to work right. That was the one major recommendation that would be a pretty, I wouldn't say a fundamental shift, but an important shift that council should think about. The other one is talking about changing out the institutional districts a little bit. Right now, it treats Allegheny and Westbury and the school complex, the junior senior high school complex, is all as the same, essentially. It says, okay, this is that district, and in those districts, it includes a wide range of uses that probably don't make sense anymore. So it included essentially pharmacies, restaurants, financial institutions, which could go over by the high school, and I'm not sure if that might be the best use of it. So the idea there is kind of maybe to split it back out, kind of how it is now. Maybe Westbury has a zoning district roughly around Westbury. Maybe the college area has its own district. So expanding the institutional uses again back to kind of how it is currently to really be able to target some of the things we want to do. So those are two of the major tweaks, major changes, area changes that's being proposed. There are a lot of more minor ones that have to do maybe with setbacks, with hours of operation, with specific uses in districts that are also in there. It's a lot of information. There's a lot of suggested tweaks in there, more minor tweaks that are kind of all over the place that will take some time to digest. So from my standpoint in kicking this back off, and I'll let Peter speak if he has anything else he wants to add, I'm sure I missed a few things, is really council, are you interested in that, in eliminating those typologies? Really think about that. I'm not asking tonight, but really think about that. It's important. It's a big part of it. And also your thoughts on look at those uses and what's in that is the IC and the IS districts, institutional campus and institutional special. Look at those uses too and see if you would agree that maybe we ought to break those back out. Okay, so that, again, there were 3 documents provided to you. One was the general summary of the changes. One was the zoning ordinance itself, the 187 pages with dozens of comments in there. And then a specific critique of the appendix that talked about the building typologies that Peter put together for us. So that's kind of where I am, where we are, I think, as far as start thinking about that, check it out, see what you think, so we can really delve into and get into the weeds in future meetings. I know zoning is an exciting topic for everybody, so if you could do that, that'd be great. Peter, did you have anything else you wanted to mention that you might have missed there?
No, I would be happy to hear council's discussion and receive questions before responding with my own.
You have the map updated kind of, right, with the IS and the different, yeah.
Yep, that's the one we had.
Yeah.
We did have those public sessions in June, so it was the same map. That hasn't changed since the public sessions.
The idea of eliminating, it basically sounds like eliminating typology of buildings and streets. To me, this is my rudimentary understanding of the form-based code, right, that we were looking at. Like, to me, that makes up the bulk of that, like, form-based approach. And so I guess I'm wondering, like, are we losing all of that? Are we losing, like Jason said, right, like the planning commission did a lot of work for a long time and so did our staff. And I guess I'm just wondering too, like, why these big, pretty substantial changes now? And like, what is the process? Does planning commission review it again? Because essentially it's a completely different document. It's a completely different proposal. And like, I guess I wouldn't necessarily want it to even come to us until it like can go through planning commission again. Feels like such a big revision if we were to remove the typology, which I'm not even saying I don't know where I'm at, but I'm trying to wrap my head around why, and does that shift it as much as I think it does?
Sure, and the change really has more to do with the building itself, what it would look like, not necessarily where it is again on the lot. It would still maybe keep that feel of a neighborhood. It just might not, every building might not look exactly the same. As far as material, siding orientation, things like that. So that would be the bulk of what would change. I think the feel of neighborhoods would generally feel the same because of the placement part of it. It still would retain the rules that, accessory structures would need to be toward the back of the lot. Some of the other setback revisions that would be retained is from a form-based perspective, but it would be, and that's why I wanted to bring it up, it would be a significant shift. Anything else to say on that?
Yeah, I think I can clarify a few things. So getting rid of typology does not eliminate the idea of form. Like the ability to regulate for the form and construction materials of a building is built into the idea of zoning and is perfectly fine. The idea of the topologies as overarching categories of a building type actually broadens the possibilities of the buildings rather than giving them a narrow definition. That's what I tried to illustrate by removing any extraneous words from the appendix, which was supposed to define building typologies. For instance, a mobile home and a freestanding house are two different forms of the same use. A single-family dwelling, a place where a single family resides, but they're a different form of structure. That can be retained while eliminating the idea of graphic design guidelines under the name of typology. Typology is a very, very odd word to use. It's not found really in a lot of other fields, and it's not a word that's within the municipality's planning code, but form is. So form-based code and the idea of form-based does not need to be removed if those 12 categories are simply better defined into forms of building. So instead of, say, B1 as a code for a single-family residence, you are able to have manufactured housing, mobile homes, if you wish to call them mobile homes, versus that and modular homes, detached houses, apartment blocks, apartment towers, low rises, high rises, multi-uses with storefronts that are defined by architectural features that are inherent in the construction rather than things like ornamentation or aesthetics of which direction, horizontally or vertically, does the siding go. That's what we as staff would recommend, because a graphic design guidelines based on a broad typology can be misleading and very, very difficult to actually enforce in law. And when lawsuits can be argued over the placement of a comma, or whether this single-family house doesn't really look like the picture that we placed in the ordinance, is a risk that I think I do not professionally want to encourage, and which I don't think Gary would actually be able to enforce. Does that clarify?
Hardly, but that's okay. I also, though, like, my understanding too, like going into the zoning update process, like I went to the meetings and there seemed to be an effort to really try to make whatever was the final product like digestible to people, and I think the idea of like pictures and like that was trying to make it a kind of more accessible document to folks who would be using it. So I guess I also just wanted us to think about not just like, not necessarily from like enforcement and even like that's our side of it, but like there are people on the other side of the document who are using it to decide how they can build a house or, remodel their home or, so, anyway, I guess I just wouldn't want us to lose that what was intended to be user-friendly.
Sure. I could try to bring up another example. One of the building typologies is for an audio-oriented business. Then yet another building typology is of a downtown commercial building where, obviously, we have to refer back to them.
Are you saying the B10, it's a picture of Pampered Palette, that's an auto convenience business?
Right. Or a single-story business, for instance, the B9.
Mm-hmm,
A single-story business is so I would ask in enforcement and common understanding, which one is Rite Aid and which one is Pampered Palette? So a drive-in window is a feature of the building envelope, but it might not be the defining feature, which is of a single-story business. The crossover between those and trying to figure out which is which and how far you have to go into one building typology before you're actually another building typology is something that I've, for instance, have difficulty actually applying to buildings that we see downtown, hence my recommendation. I do not know what building typology the Tar Mansion is because it was formerly a B1 mansion, single-family residence, that was then split up into a twin unit, which could be considered townhouse if they decided to install a party wall. But in one case is on one side of the building defined by its B12 civic or institutional use, but which also has a for-profit use that has something in it. And when it comes to actually being able to enforce or cite people for zoning violations, the ambiguity between those things is something that I have not been able to parse out into something that we can actually apply.
So, okay, what I think I'm hearing you say is that the typologies treat buildings as if they're discrete categories, but in reality, there's like a lot of gray area, and it's actually kind of hard to figure out which buildings fit where for lots of reasons.
Well,
But,
what?
yeah, what?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, sorry. I'm repeating back to make sure I'm understanding.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Have we talked to planning commission, like, again? Okay.
Yes, I did. We have not brought up staff's comments. We will bring up these comments and their responses at the next Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. But as it was my first in attendance at one of those, I solicited their immediate responses for what is on there and did not have anything to offer for you.
And I also think that we're waiting on to see what council's directive is on this. Is it to send it back to the planning commission to flush out, based on maybe we don't want to look at some things that is in the proposed ordinance? I mean, it's up to council kind of to decide how they want to handle this. Send it back to the planning commission for further review, or does council want to discuss and make the ultimate decision?
I'd like to see us discuss and make decisions.
I'd like to send it back to planning commission.
Now, council can offer directive to the planning commission on how they want the planning commission to proceed. So is it to revisit the topology question? What does that look like? You can definitely give the planning commission that directive.
There's a lot just now. I'm just gonna, you know what I mean, be honest. And honestly, I think that, I know ultimately we're gonna be making that decision, right? But I think that when it comes down to things that are this in-depth, right? I would like it to go back to the planning commission only because I'm not, I agree with, siding being able to go whichever way because I've seen it and it looks good, right? Like, and some of the materials, right? But I do understand what Peter's saying, right? Like the usages and how to, distinguish those and maybe the planning commission can make it easier or distinguish those better or whatever, you know what I mean, to make it more digestible for the people and without losing so much of the work that they've already done. That's my opinion. I don't know. Gary, your furrowed brow is making me feel like I'm not being real. It's just that's your face. Okay.
I think it's also making a more discreet decision by council, right? You can send it back as is and ask the planning commission to do something, but that's not enough direction for the planning commission.
Or their opinion on it, right? Like, can we?
So their opinion is probably what you've received at this point, is why you've received it.
Right.
So if you have a different
Well, we also
opinion-
received it 2 years ago, right? And that was before the staff comments, right? So I would want to see, right, there's like a reason we set up these authorities, boards, and commissions. We delegate the work of the city, and I think if we've got substantial changes to make, which, are in front of us now, I think it makes sense to send those back to the planning commission for review, if council wants to consider them at all. Otherwise, like, I'm willing to consider the zoning ordinance as it's in front of us. But if we're going to consider these substantial changes, I'd want to see it. I'd want to see these notes from staff, maybe specifically around typology, go to planning commission for additional review.
I support eliminating all of the building typologies and the street typologies. And if you're going to send this back to the planning commission, I think it should be with that direction. Staff has recommended it, some members of council have recommended it. I don't think there's any ambiguity in that particular area. So if you want to send it back to them, get us a work product that doesn't have those typologies. We're going to save about 50 pages of the ordinance as it is, which is not the whole thing, but ultimately you have to answer a question. Whose land is it? Whose money is being invested in it? Do we want to have the community developed, or do we want to have someone's idea of aesthetics impede development because that doesn't fit in with the plans of the people who are actually investing the money? So, bearing that in mind, we need to have development stimulated in this community. We don't need another reason for people to go to other municipalities instead of ours.
Larry, do you have any?
Yeah, I would like to see it go back, just more clarification for people to understand, and myself. There's some, like they said, there's some terminology in it that's kind of, I don't understand, or could be explained differently. So I think I'm not the only person that has that concern or misunderstanding. So I think it should go back. But I do agree with Peter. I do understand how the form basing and changing that. I understand the differences now in what you're saying. So, yeah, I'd like to see with the recommendations that other staff members have, and then letting go back to planning.
Gretchen?
Yeah, I would like to see, have it go back to planning, and I think, and I do think we are leaning towards finding that sweet spot in the, like, is it completely getting rid of all the typology and the streets? You know, it feels like it might be swinging that direction, but I kind of want to make sure that that initial thing that Autumn is pointing to isn't lost as well. And it might, so I would like to see that go back. Does that make sense?
Is that, do you need more of a consensus? You tell me.
I just want to confirm what I am hearing. So council would like it to go back to the planning commission with the directive to specifically look at the comments that were provided and address those. And then with that in mind, then bring it back to council after they've addressed those comments.
Bring a recommendation back to council,
Okay.
I think. And right at that time, we still have, Jim, like, we still have the authority to, make whatever changes. But again,
This is going to take some time
I would imagine.
to get it done right.
Correct.
Well, we've been working on it for like 4 years, so. What's another one?
Okay. New business resolution, appointing Gary Johnson as the city building code official effective August 18th, 2022. Can I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Discussion.
So since Gary has come back from his vacation, we can bring back him as the building code official. It was recently outsourced to Mike Grills. Bring it back in-house now.
Anybody have any questions? Roll call.
McKnight,
Aye.
Myers,
Aye.
Roha,
Aye.
Vogel,
Aye.
Kinder.
Aye. Resolution authorizing non-BCO based fee schedule, city of Meadville and construction code inspection.
Resolution of the Council of the City of Meadville authorizing signatures on a non-building code official based fee schedule agreement between the City of Meadville and construction code inspectors.
Can I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Second.
Discussion?
So because we are bringing the building code official back in-house, the fee schedule was originally increased to pay for Mike Grill to be that building code official. Bringing it back in-house will again lower those fees back to where they were before council appointed Mike Crowe.
I think the fee schedule's not in the packet. Is it just the same as, it's just what it was before?
Correct.
They have not been raised since
Correct.
we adopted them, like this year?
Correct, yes.
Earlier. Anybody have any questions? All right, roll call.
McKnight?
Aye.
Myers? Aye. Roja?
No.
Vogel? Aye. Kinder?
Aye. Resolution, authorized signatures and award bid, Heidi Cooper Park restroom renovation. Yeah.
One before.
Oh, authorized signatures revision of community development block, sorry. I was moving forward. Revisions of community development block grant.
A resolution by the City Council of the City of Meadville, Crawford County, Pennsylvania, authorizing a revision of the Community Development Block Grant Coronavirus Project Funding. Resolved by the Council of the City of Meadville that whereas Act 179 of 1984 established the Community Development Block Grant CDBG entitlement program to financially assist municipalities with a number of community development needs to benefit low and moderate income citizens. And whereas on March 27, 2020, the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act was signed into law to provide an immediate and direct response to the emerging crisis impacting the United States as a result of the coronavirus global pandemic. In the City of Meadville, and Resolution Number 62 of 2020, dated July 15, 2020, authorized the submission of an application for a total allocation of $193,732 to the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development for funding through the Community Development Block Grant Coronavirus Program as a part of the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. And whereas in Resolution Number 25 of 2022, dated June 21st, 2022, revised the CDBG-CV application to allocate $50,344.49 to the city's Heidi Cooper Park Improvement Project. And whereas Resolution Number 83 of 2021, dated August 18, 2021, revised the CDBG-CV application to allocate a total of $140,843.51 to the Crawford County Coalition on Housing Needs Emergency Shelter Roof Replacement Project that came in $14,203.51 under budget. And whereas the City of Meadville is formally revising the CDBG-CV application to reallocate $6,865.54 of the funds originally approved for the Crawford County Coalition on Housing Needs Roof Replacement to the Heidi Cooper Park Improvement Project, and therefore be it resolved that the City of Meadville Council has officially approved the revision of CDBG-CV funds to fund the improvements at Heidi Cooper Park.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Second.
Discussion?
So, as you can see, this coronavirus funding through the Community Development Block Grants Program has been complicated. So the $50,344.49, that was the money left over from the initial allocation that the city made with that program money to CHAPS for their rental and utility assistance. That was unused money that was returned to us for use in a different manner. We've decided that the Heidi Cooper restrooms, which were not originally part of the master plan for Heidi Cooper, needed to be done. They were an eligible expense under the coronavirus program through CDBG, so we have moved the $50,000 to that. Bids went out, and the next three resolutions following this one will be authorizing and awarding those bids. They did come in over budget by almost $7,000. Because the Coalition Roof Replacement Project came in under budget, we are able to move some of that money to cover the cost of the overage on these three bids.
Anybody have any questions?
Some positive sleight of hand.
That's right.
All good.
All good.
Very complicated, but it was great.
And thank you, Renee, for reading that.
I appreciate that.
Roll call.
McKnight?
Aye.
Myers?
Aye.
Roha?
Aye.
Vogel?
Aye.
Kinder?
Aye. All right, resolution authorizing signatures and award bid Heidi Cooper Park restroom renovations, general construction contract to, Fuller Home Building. Could I have a motion?
Motion?
I'll second. Discussion.
Uh,
Can we read it?
yeah.
Oh, read it, yeah, sorry.
A resolution of the council of the city of Meadville awarding the bid in the amount of $26,560 to Fuller Home Building for the Heidi Cooper Park restroom renovations, general construction contract. Resolved by the council of the city of Meadville that whereas bids for Heidi Cooper Park restroom renovations were opened by city clerk Catherine Wicker on August 9, 2022, and whereas Porter Consulting Engineers reviewed the bids and per the bid recommendation letter recommends the city award the project to Fuller Home Building. Now therefore be it resolved, the city of Meadville by and through the council of the city of Meadville hereby awards and the bid for the Heidi Cooper Park restroom renovations general construction contract to Fuller Home Building in an amount of $26,560. Be it further resolved, the mayor, controller, and city clerk are authorized and directed to execute any and all documents and agreements necessary to complete the general construction contract for the Heidi Cooper Park restroom renovations.
Now, does anybody have any questions?
There's only one comment I want to add. So this restroom project was bid out into 3 different projects just due to the nature of each portion of those projects. So there's a general construction, plumbing, and then electrical, and all 3 are bid out separately, again, due to just the nature of the construction work. So this is the first, just general construction.
Okay, yeah.
What's the timeline for construction?
At this point, it's likely spring. These funds do need to be expended though by mid-next year, so end of July, they need to be expended.
So we think they'll be done by then, or at least they'll have the money to be completing these things by then?
That is the hope, yes.
We have a system in place to know when we're approaching a deadline.
Yes.
Any other questions? Roll call.
McKnight?
Aye.
Myers?
Aye.
Roha?
Aye.
Vogel? Aye. Kinder?
Aye. Resolution authorized signatures and bid award, Heidi Cooper Park restroom renovation plumbing construction contract, Dynasty Construction. Can I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Discussion? Oh, sorry. Sorry, Rena.
A resolution of the council of the city of Meadville awarding the bid in the amount of $6,000 to LP Electric for the Heidi Cooper Park restroom renovations electrical construction contract.
I think we were on the one above that, the 24.
Oh,
Right,
yes, now
yeah.
I'm.
No, I'm messing you up, Rena. I'm sorry, that's my fault.
Which one? Sorry, that's where I went.
We're right above it, the Dynasty Construction, 24,650.
Yes, listed.
Oh, no, it's not.
A resolution of the council of the city of Meadville awarding the bid in the amount of $24,650 to Dynasty Construction for the Heidi Cooper Park restroom renovations plumbing construction contract. That was on me, I put them on the
Switched them.
reverse order.
Motion?
I think we did that, now we need a discussion. No.
Plumbing? Plumbing.
Plumbing.
Yes.
Okay, roll call.
McKnight?
Aye.
Myers?
Aye.
Roha?
Aye.
Vogel?
Aye.
Kinder?
Aye. I'm happy that I can just use every single person. Resolution authorize signatures and award bid Heidi Cooper Park restroom renovation electrical construction contract LP Electric LLC. Can I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
A resolution of the council of the city of Meadville awarding the bid in the amount of $6,000 to LP Electric for the Heidi Cooper Park restroom renovations electrical construction contract.
Is it on them to coordinate, like, across the 3, or is that on us to do?
So Ashley Porter is the one doing the design for us, so they are actually the ones who will coordinate when each contractor needs to arrive.
And make sure it's done in.
Correct.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Roll call.
McKnight?
Aye.
Myers?
Aye.
Roha?
Aye.
Vogel?
Aye.
Kinder?
Aye. Public comment, we have Bill.
Good evening to all. I'm Bill Holman, and I'd like to express our gratitude and appreciation to the City Council in partaking with our senior rally that we had on Saturday, which is, for helping seniors with their, showing awareness of the unfair rent increases that we've been, imposed upon us, as well as with Holland Towers, the treatment of their residents. We greatly appreciate our mayor, Jamie Kinder, who spoke, as well as our councilwoman, Autumn Vogel. Thank you both very much. Gretchen was there on the sideline, as well as I was. And also, we'd like to thank Crawford County United for all their input. Cassandra, our Master of Ceremonies, Joe Tompkins. Thank you, Joe. You did a great job, and I appreciate everybody's help. And we had a good showing. It was a good showing for our seniors. It was a perfect day for it, also. And we do very much appreciate. We know Eric Henry was there as one of our commissioners. He stopped by, said he would. He did do that, and he was, we appreciate him being there as well. And we thank you very much for all your help, and we will be pushing on. We have a lot to do, but with your help and consideration, and we appreciate it very much. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bill. All right, council member statements. Jim?
I have nothing, Your Honor.
Okay. Gretchen?
Well, thanks, Bill. That was great. There was a lot happening Saturday. I know in Fifth Ward, Marie had organized a community get-together to get feedback for how they can make a healthier community. Becky Dawson did a presentation. Who else did presentations? Of course, I had to leave and go to the rally and go back to Fifth Ward. I also want to give a shout out to the St. James, what do you call that?
Haven.
Yeah, St. James Haven. They had an open house, and it was really wonderful to see what they're doing for homeless men in our community. They have a great program. I just got goosebumps just thinking about, the stories that I heard, and just the link that they're creating for people who are trying to go from being homeless into home. And I'm really thankful. I'm thankful that we were able to do a tour of Holland Towers and talk with staff and also talk with residents again. I'd also just like to give a shout out to staff for all your comments. I don't know if it's mainly Mary Ann, just their comments are brilliant because this is a lot for me to read. So going through it was really helpful to go, and I'm also very thankful for council for your feedback, and just hopefully we'll get this to be like a really workable zoning ordinance for our city. That's it.
I will say the comments were mainly Peter's, so credit where credit is due.
I just saw M, so I was like, Peter.
She just gets it to us.
Oh, yeah.
You can tell the tone of Mary Ann. Just to put that out there.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
I gotta go back and read that. That's probably Gary now. I know, I gotta.
Larry?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Gary, welcome Gary back. And I'd like to thank him and Peter and the whole staff for the work they're doing with the zoning, and especially the way you're breaking it down so people can understand, and you're really listening to what people are saying. I think that's very important, and I like that. I respect that from you guys.
Yeah, I want to give some gratitude to, I want to thank everybody who came tonight, in particular Daniel, Sandy, Rito, appreciate you all sharing your stories. It's a vulnerable place to be, right? We know this is a contentious issue, so I appreciate you being here, being brave and willing to share with us. It's important that we're hearing from everybody. And I hope that we can take that into consideration as we move forward with our rental inspection program. I also want to just ongoing thanks to staff as always, but also our volunteers, boards, authorities, commissions, planning commission. Like, thanks for doing a zoning ordinance and then maybe hopefully being willing to look at it again. But we have a lot of people in town that are volunteering their time to help out and run the city, and that is doesn't go unnoticed, and add value. People like Mark, the summer parks program. It's really amazing. Yeah, Gretchen mentioned that some members of council, we got to tour Holland Towers. Some of us also went to the meeting last week of the Housing Authority and met with some Housing Authority members. Just want to express to folks that this is a priority of this council. We're committed to people having safe and healthy places to live. We met with the Vice President of Connect 55 as well. We're taking these matters seriously and we're putting in the work. We're putting in the work this week too. There's a housing roundtable tomorrow. I'm excited about. Hopefully we'll figure out how we can bring some more resources to our community to deal with some of the housing crisis that our community faces. On a more positive note, on Friday, the library will host the Meadville Community Celebration. We will kind of take a do a kind of collective reflection of where we've come since 2018 when the Community Action Plan was released, and that's been really great to participate in. Friday, 6 to 8, the first hour is a potluck and kind of looking back, and then the next hour will, from 7 to 8, we will figure out what's next, what we want to do together in our city. There's childcare, there's free food, but a potluck is encouraged, and again, it's at the library. And the last thing, I'm insane, so I've changed my office hours and I've added a day, and I'm in the building now Mondays 9 to noon and Fridays 1 to 4. Because I had to schedule for work, but also I want to be here more often for some reason. So Mondays 9 to noon, Fridays 1 to 4. You can find me across the hall. Thanks.
Again, I want to thank everybody for coming and being here. It's always awesome to see the seats full and some of the comments. Of course, it's not the best reason to be here at council, but I appreciate everybody coming. I also appreciate when we're in a bad spot, how brave it is for people to stand up and speak out. And I want to thank you for being vulnerable with us and putting it on us to support you guys in our community, creating this community that helps one another, that values one another, and that is here for one another, right? We learned that at the rally, we learned that in 5th Ward, and just coming together to be together. I want to thank everybody on staff for putting up with us and and putting in the work, right? Like, because we're creating the community that we want to be in, that is safe for everyone, and that everyone feels valued and has a voice, and you guys are a gigantic part of that. I know, it's not easy all the time, and there's a lot of hours put in, not just for volunteers, but you guys are here, and you're here for everybody in the community also, and you're listening also, and that is not just because you're paid, it's because we're creating this community together. So I just really appreciate that and appreciate everyone here and what we're trying to do here together to make Meadville a better place, because again, ultimately we are stronger together, and I see the future, and it is beautiful. It is so bright I gotta wear shades, if you know what I'm talking about. So with that, I am going to ask for a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Motion. Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
McKnight,
Aye?
Myers,
Aye.
Roja,
Aye.
Vogel, Kinder.
Aye. There it is.